This is the Asia HR Forum 2023.
Brands and cultures need to be aligned. What you say to the world needs to be the same thing that you say inside your organization. In the perfect world, it's like fish swimming in the same direction towards your goal, towards your vision. But it's not always the case. It's not always the case. So to kick things off this morning, we are going to play a little game. It's going to be a competition. So what I want you to do is, I want you to find yourself a partner. Partner has to be two persons. Find yourself a partner. When you find your partner, give your partner a high five. Good. Everyone's got a partner? Everyone's got a partner? Good. Now, this is competition because the winner between the partnership gets a copy of my ebook. Okay, you ready? Now, between the partner, one of you is going to be called brand. The other one's going to be called employee. Decide. Who wants to be brand? Who wants to be employee? Good. All those who are brand, just put up your hands so I can see them. All those who are employee, put up your hands. Good. Now this is how we're going to play. You are going to put your finger out and touch fingers with your partner. There we go. Now, when I say brand, you will need to catch employee. Employee, you gotta escape. Or if I say employee has to catch brand must escape. Everyone understand? Say yes. Okay, good. Can I get everyone to stand up now, right? Practice round. We're gonna try this out. Practice round. Employee. I think we need a little bit more practice. You gotta catch. If I say employee tries to catch, brand tries to escape. We'll try it again. Brand. Okay. So here's the deal, right? We're gonna play best of three rounds. If you catch 1 point, if you escape, 1 point. A catch means you hold the finger, you manage to hold the finger. Good. Best of three rounds. Look your partner in the eye and go game on. Friendship ends now. Okay. We're gonna need some music for this. Are you ready? Round 1. Brand. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Round number 2. Employee. That was close. Final round. This is the money round. Brand. Okay. All those who have won, put up your hands. All those who didn't win, turn to your partner and go, I am not worthy. All right, give your partner a high five. Ooh. What did we learn from this, ladies and gentlemen? There was a reason why I played this game, because that's the challenge today. The challenge is oh, by the way, I promise the winners a book. Is it okay if I give everyone an e-book? Yeah? Good, thank you. 1 applause, thank you, sir. So this is the challenge today, right? The challenge is, you got brand, you're your culture. You are running out and you're trying to grab your employee. But your employee, what is your employee doing? They're moving away, they're going further away and they're further away. And there are times with an employee that joins an organization and they're like, I'm ready for your brand. I'm ready to embrace the culture. But there's nothing existing. So here's the problem. In my research, in my doctorate, I realized there were multiple problems. No one knows or believes the brand and organization. There's a poor connection. Then you have leaders who say, look, I'm a leader. I'm going to lead in my own way because I'm a millennial. But you're not on brand. You're not walking the talk. And there's a lack of engagement. There's a lack of trust. So today, what's going to happen is I want to help you all think through this. Now, I've got limited time with all of you, so I'm going to go through this boom. But my book is available if you want to know a lot more. I'm happy to speak to all of you. But I'm going to give you 3 things that you can start to do. How many? 3 things. So the first thing is clarity. How it's so important to know your brand. We're going to talk about connection, how to create belief, and finally, champion, how you can advocate and how you can participate. So let's start with the first one, clarity. Knowing your brand. Now, over the years, I've been very lucky and privileged because before COVID, I was traveling 100 days a year. I go all around the world. And when you go around the world, you go to airports and you see customs and immigration, isn't it? So here's a country. I'm not going to name the country. But I remember landing into that country. When I reached immigration and customs, I saw this huge sign, their new branding message, service with a smile. And it was everywhere. It was in the toilets. I go in and I'm in the toilet, it's right in my face, service with a smile. It's on the badges of all the customs officers in their uniforms. So it's everywhere. But here's the problem. As I walked in and as I queued up to go to customs, I realized nobody was smiling. That's the problem, isn't it? So I queue up and I go, wait a minute, they've talked about the brand, they have promised me a smile, so shouldn't I ask them for a smile? So me, Dr. Jerome Joseph, the brand guy, decides to ask the immigration officer in front of me for a smile. So I queue up and I stand in the booth and I give my passport. And the guy was not smiling. So I knock on the glass window. It's like, hello, could I have a smile, please? If looks could kill. He looks at me. He gives me the look like I was the devil. Stamps my passport with a lot of anger. And I thought, that's it. I'm never going to come to this country ever again. I'm probably going to go for a cavity check. But luckily enough, I managed to escape from the airport. But it taught me a very important lesson. And here's a lesson for everyone. Many of you work in organizations that creates these branding messages. If you create this branding message, it's important to get everyone to know what it means. Isn't it? Everyone needs to be on the same page. But here's the other problem. I go into organizations like immigration, for example. Now, do you think it's fair that a customs officer is sitting down there 12 hours a day going, welcome to the country, welcome to the country, welcome to, smiling for 12 hours? Is it tough? It is. I think it is. So it's a branding message that didn't make sense to them. So here is the first lesson. 2 things that you need to consider is, number 1, please talk to your people, talk to your stakeholders, and create a message that makes sense for them. And number 2, get everyone to make sure they understand it. So that's point number 1, clarity. It's a simple concept, but trust me when I say this. There are multiple times I've gone into organizations and I don't see clarity. Let's talk about number 2, connection. How many of you know this guy? He looks a bit like me, isn't it? That's Tony Fernandez, the CEO of Air. How many of you have flown Air Asia, by the way? So quite a few of you. So, I think the world of this guy. Why? Because he's Indian like me. He's from Malaysia, and I'm from Singapore, so neighboring states. But also, I've got respect for how he has built a world-class brand. And one day I found out that I was going to be speaking at a conference in Malaysia where Tony Fernandez was appearing. And I go, whoa, my chance to meet my idol. And I really wanted to meet with him. So I was speaking in the morning, Tony Fernandez was speaking in the afternoon, and there was a speaker holding room. So I got really excited, and I decided that I needed to stalk him. No, not stalk. Say hello to him. And so I hid there in the room, stood there in the room, waiting for him to enter. And he finally entered the room. And I was really excited I got to meet Tony Fernandez, and I planned everything that I wanted to say. So I walk up to Tony Fernandez full of confidence, with my prepared speech. I put my hand out to him, and I go, Mr. Fernandez. He goes, yes. I'm Indian. And that was the only thing I could say. The only thing that I remembered. I wish the ground could have swallowed up. But he was very cool because he looked at me and he goes, yes, I noticed. And that's how I met Tony Fernandez. And so I visited Tony Fernandez in his office in Malaysia. And here's what he did that really impressed me about belief and about culture. They bring me to this huge wall. They call it the Wall of Brand Champions. And on this wall, there were all these pictures of different men and women. And he says, this is my wall of champions. And he points. He goes, you see that guy? Jerome, you see that guy? That guy used to be a baggage handler working in AirAsia. And one day I went to the guy and I said, what is your dream? And that guy said, Mr. Fernandez, my dream is to be a pilot. And Tony goes, I told that guy, because you're in AirAsia, dreams can come true. And he says, Jerome, that guy, today he's a captain. Today he is a captain. Wow. And I was so impressed with that story because I'm going to tell you now, it's strategic. Now think about it, right? When I work with organizations, we have over 30 tools that we use to engage and create this belief. Now these are 6 of my favorite. But think about what Tony Fernandez did. Number 1, if you think about it, you have that wall of brand champions. That's a marketing asset. Then the story, I'm pretty sure Tony has told that story thousands of times to get the message of what AirAsia means. If you think about it, the recognition and the rewarding of that person, again, is a strategy that Tony uses. So organizations use these strategies. Now, one of my favorite, actually, by the way, in this, is the training programs which we run, or even in the performance reviews. But I'll give you an example of one of my clients and how they use rituals. How many of you have been to Singapore, by the way, my country? And how many of you have been to Sentosa? So I was lucky. I was hired by Sentosa to build their internal branded culture. Now, one of the things that we did is that we created this thing called the Show Starter Kit, very much inspired by the Ritz-Carlton lineup. Now, what does it do? There are thousands of employees in Sentosa. And if you know about Sentosa, Sentosa is an island, kind of like Boracay in a way, with resorts and activities based out just about a bridge away from Singapore. And so before they start work, every single day, they come together and they do this thing called the Show Starter Kit, because they are going to go out there and they are going to put up a show. So one of the things that we created was a ritual that helped drive that. How do we do it? They sit down, they talk about the brand. They talk about what they have done to live the brand, what they have done to live the values of the brand. And they do this every single day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about this. Every single day before you start work in any department, HR, IT, finance, you start work by talking about how you live the values and how you deliver the values of your brand. Think about how that's going to drive that belief in your organization. And this was the Show Starter Kit. We created a special product for them called the Kit to help them drive that. And they do this every single day. So that's point number 2, right? Connection. So there are 2 things you need to start to do from a learning perspective. Start to think about tools. There are many, many tools out there. Start to create and build those tools and drive belief. But more importantly, be strategic. Plan where and when you can use them. Good. Let's go to the 3rd C. And the 3rd C is called champion. Creating brand champions. So recently, I went on a boat cruise. It's been some time since I've gone on a cruise. But this is those mega boats, huge boats where you go on this cruise to nowhere. So I got on a cruise, and I remember in the dining area, I saw a group of 30 employees. Now, how I know they were employees? Because they're all wearing the company shirt. And there was a guy who was standing, and he's like, let's take a picture. And after he took a picture, he goes, I'm sending it to all of you. Please share it on your social channels. And they all started sharing in their social channels. And I got really impressed. I'm like, 30 employees sharing, they must be from marketing or HR. So I go up to them, and I start talking to the guy, and I go, wow, this is very impressive. Which department are you from? And he goes, oh, I'm from accounts. Accounts, sharing on social media, didn't make sense to me. And one of the things that he says is we are passionate about our company. And in our company, every single person is a brand champion. Every single person has a role and responsibility, not just to influence inside an organization, but outside. So we are here, we're celebrating our milestones, our company's anniversary, but all of us have a responsibility to share to our networks. Now think about this, right? If that organization has 100 employees, and each one of them has 500 network connections, and they talk about how amazing this company is, think about the reach. So when you talk about championing, it is important to remember that your people are key in championing. How do you do this? Number one, don't just go to your people and go, "Sir, you are now a champion." Good. And then what? Train them. Get a framework, train them to be champions. I mean, if you need a program, Frank has just shared a really powerful tool of creating a brand champion course. I'm sure if you type it in, it's going to come out. But train them to be brand champions. And then empower them. There's this fear mindset in Asia. I mean, I'm Asian, I know it. So fear mindset is, what if they say the wrong thing on social media? I don't want them to post stuff. Come on. I think it's so important we empower our people because we live in a changing world. This is the world of AI and digital technology. Empower them to go out there and share the message and share to the world about how amazing your company is, because it's going to be a big part of your employer branding and attracting people. But also in your organization, share it inside your organization as well. So today, I shared with you 3 key things. I talked to you about clarity. It's so important that everyone is clear about the brand. I shared with you about connection, the importance of creating belief in your brand. And finally, I shared with you about championing, how everyone needs to advocate and participate. Before I end, I'm going to share a story, but I promised everyone a book, isn't it? So here is it. Take a picture. The book is going to be sent to all of you. Thank you for playing. And please feel free to reach out to me. So the picture is here. You're going to get a book called Get Aligned, 10 Principles to Grow Your Brand from Within. So before I end, I want to close with a story. The date was 25th July, 1992. I met with a terrible accident. Now, if you look at my face, you'll see the scar on my forehead. It's not because I'm a Harry Potter fan. I was in an accident where I was lying in a pool of blood. I was 18 years old. And I remember being rushed to hospital. And being rushed to hospital, the doctors were looking at me and they were shaking their head. And I felt this sense of hope leaving me. Because the doctors are shaking their head. I was in trouble. My mom comes in. And she calls me, she sees the state I'm in, covered with blood. And she goes, "Oh my God, my son's going to die." My mom wasn't exactly a motivational speaker. But it hit me. It hit me that I was going to die. I was 18 years old, I never lived my life. And so they were going to wheel me in for emergency surgery. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I lay in the hospital bed going, "I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die." And then a nurse walks in. Now this is in the middle of the night. And she walks in, and I stopped. And I looked at her, and I see this beautiful nurse. I mean, I'm 18 years old. She's beautiful, but the beauty was of a different kind. Right? I just felt that peace and comfort. And she walks up to me, and she holds my hand. And she looks at me, and she says, "Jerome," she read my name. She goes, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Nurse, I'm going to die. I'm going to die." And she says, "No, you're not. You are not going to die. You are going to live. I believe in you, but you got to believe it yourself." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to live." And she goes, "No, you got to say it like you mean it. You got to say it like you really want to live." And there was something in her words, something in the power of a message that filled me. And I said, "Yes, I'm going to live." And for that moment, I truly believed that I, Jerome, an 18-year-old boy, was going to survive this terrible accident I was part of. And so I survived the accident. I was in hospital for about a month. But I always remember the minute I woke up from surgery, the minute I woke up, they took me out from the ICU. I called in the ward nurse, the head nurse, and I told her, I said, nurse, I really want to meet this nurse." She goes, "Doesn't sound like anyone I know." And I said, "No," and I described her completely. She goes, "Jerome, I've been in the hospital for 20 years. There is no such person." I know what you're thinking, sir. Watching too much ghost movies. Maybe high on drugs. They did pump me a lot of morphine because I was in pain. But I want to tell you what I believe. Because I'm a Christian, and I believe in God, and I believe that this was an angel that was sent to me from above, disguised as a nurse. And that's my belief. My belief. But let's talk about reality. The reality was that she was a nurse working in the Singapore General Hospital, probably off duty that day, who walked past and looked in the room, and because of the Singapore General Hospital brand of giving care, she said it was her duty to go to that boy that was crying and had given up hope. And she walked into that room and she gave me hope. She gave me love. She gave me care. And that actions of that one employee, that nurse of Singapore General Hospital, saved my life because of actions. And as I go out to the world, I share my message of branding and culture, and I talk to employees, and I always tell them, every one of you in this room, you make a difference for your brand. You make a difference to your colleague. You make a difference to your customer. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jerome Joseph, and I thank you for your hospitality in Manila, and I wish you success in growing your world-class brand. Thank you.